Good morning. This is the Lightwalker's Path, and I'm Rosemary DiTrolio, your guide and host. This is a place where we have enlightened conversations and we meet inspirational guests like today's guest, Sharon Ann Rose, Sacred Rites of Passage. She's known as an alchemist of energy. She helps women with sacred intentional journeys to reconnect with their innate wisdom. And she has deeply transformative processes and ways that she helps her clients. She's known for depth and integrity, and she's also a best-selling author. So welcome. How are you, Sharon?
Thank you, Rosemary. I'm so delighted and tickled to be here with you.
Oh, I
Such a
love
pleasure.
this. I love this. And I love all the work that you do with women, especially because I know that this, I believe, is the year of the goddess energy. We are coming into our own. We're discovering these new pathways, these new choices that we could make. So I want to know your viewpoint on what you're seeing with your clients right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm quite a tender person. So even as you said that, of like, it's the year of the goddess, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, yes. And we've been hearing this for quite a while. Like it's the season of women rising. And there's something very different because we are different. And for
Mm-hmm.
example, who you and I were a year ago, we're very
Oh,
different now.
true.
So
That's so
that
true.
term even of woman rising, goddess rising
We're
is
already risen.
now different. And thank goodness, thank the
Yeah.
goddess,
Yes.
because now it's grounded. Now it's
Yeah.
not just coming from patriarchy. Not that it was before, but I mean, we have to be loving and compassionate and gentle with ourselves
Yeah.
because we were still, very
Mm-hmm.
entwined with that. And that is both a personal unraveling and also a collective unraveling. Those two can't happen without each other. And so, what I'm seeing in my clients is exactly that. These are
Mm-hmm.
women who have tended their inner being
Mm-hmm.
so deeply and really worked to slow way down and make sure that they're coming from their honesty, their authenticity, their rest, their renewal, their regulation of their nervous system,
That's
their
it.
values, and then most notably, their collaboration and sisterhood. Because any goddess knows she's not a goddess without her sisters all shining.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. It's interesting because I've never felt like I was never the kind of person to be in competition with another woman. Like that's not me. So even in high school and even going through college and even in my younger years, I always was of the mindset that if your friend does something great, you celebrate them. You have that open-hearted feeling like, oh, that's awesome. I love what you're doing. I never felt that competitive thing that some of the younger people do toward other women, even beautiful women. I'm like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Like it never made me feel less than to appreciate another female. And I think that's where that mentality of sisterhood really comes from, is appreciating each other and having a sister. We do that for each other. So, that's, an actual sister. So my
yeah.
sister friends, my soul sisters, I call them, and then
Mhm.
my actual sister. Uh,
Yeah, me too. I use the same exact terminology. I'm the youngest of four biological sisters, so I have
okay.
I have blood sisters, and I have such a loving posse of soul sisters that can also include my blood sisters.
I love that. And the idea of just being there for each other is so powerful because I always think when you learn a lesson, I love to help the next person pull themselves up, and then there's someone right ahead of me that gives me a piece of whatever I need to help me out. And it helps get through so many things in life. First, for me, faith, always
Mhm.
focusing on faith, but also having this inner strength of the support of people that I care about and that care about me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so vital for us.
Yeah, it just comes to mind, the slogan of "We're stronger together." And I think
Yeah.
women embody that more than
Yes.
anything because it was actually a necessary and vital primal way of being. Women
Mhm.
knew they had to bond together to care for their families, their communities, their
Yeah.
tribes, and for each other. And then it becomes clear, like you said, that that's how we learn to care for ourselves really
Yeah.
well because we
Yeah.
learn we can lean into that. We can ask for
And
support and help, and I feel like the many faces, literally, of women, of the goddess, of the feminine, are
mhm.
showing and helping to dismantle this sort of one leader patriarchy, and allowing, the world and ourselves to have a repatterned understanding of what true leadership is. It really is all of us standing
Oh
together,
yeah.
shining and thriving.
Yeah, and I think when you have women that have this information, it's so powerful and it could change things in a quieter way than the yelling, the bullying, the loud way, the aggressiveness that has been part of the culture in our country, at least for a long time. So I think our quiet voices have a lot more power than we have. And I think back like to the 60s, where a lot of my people that I know that are older, a little bit older than me, they were in the 60s and they were the change makers, you know. Those were the women that were changing things. They got rights for women. I'm like, that's awesome, you know. But then we went backward just a little bit. So I'm glad it's coming back to that goddess energy, that female power.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
beautifully stated.
yes.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm very interested about well, a lot of things that you do. One is your book that you're re-releasing, and can you tell me the name of the book just so we can put that out there in the universe for people?
Sure. I actually have it right next to me because I had an event
Touch here.
yesterday. So it's called
See
Faces of the Mother: A
that.
Feminine Path to Embodiment Through Ancient
Okay.
Wisdom,
Oh,
Archetypes, and Soul Fertility.
beautiful. Love that. I love that. So when you talk about archetypes, um, what archetypes do you find right now that are coming in really strong for your women?
Yeah, so right now I would say that creator destroyer.
Shiva? That's
Well, she
Shiva.
comes in many
Yeah.
forms, and
Yes.
so I often use a more, we'll say, a
Yes.
more non-denominational
Yes.
experience, so
Yes.
that it's very personalized, and
Uh-huh.
that women can come into a direct relationship with who she is and what her face literally looks
Uh-huh.
like, and that's exactly what my book portrays: is women really reclaiming, these different aspects of the archetypes in them into the fullness and wholeness of who we are. And so with the creator destroyer, it's really important to have them paired together so we understand the
Um,
creator doesn't exist way out here by herself and the destroyer way over here. They actually are
two sides.
two sides of the same exact energy. And so,
Mhm.
and people, they think creation looks a certain way. Often that was just the loving, fertile goddess who so joyously gave life, which I'm not demeaning.
Take it up.
Exactly. That
Yes.
is such a part of it. She's always fertile, and it's so beautiful. And she also creates with destruction. She knows that there's aspects that really do need to come down. They need to go back to the earth. They need to dismantle, decay,
Yes.
be held in the earth for a while. And that's what my book
Mhm.
taught me. After I first published her, it was a decade ago. And then, due to a variety of things, also my own youngness, my own naivete and innocence, I needed to put her back in the ground, and I
Yeah.
needed to go into the ground with her. And, yeah, that wasn't always comfortable. It's kind of scary at
Yeah. Oh
times.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, and that's the destroyer energy. And we can use maybe softer terms so that it becomes more palatable, but the recycler, it literally, that's what it
Yeah.
means. It's like, let's recycle what no longer is being asked to be carried forward, and then
Yeah.
we carry what is meant to be carried forward.
I love it. A lot of times it comes from burying the manure and allowing the seeds to grow from this manure and seeing it not as, I'm in this big problem, but rather this is what I've learned and this is what I'm going to reap and sow for the next part of my life. And it's interesting because whenever I come across, I don't know if you hear my dog barking. Whenever I come across a new part of my life, whether I'm creating a book, creating this, or doing something new, I'll dream of being pregnant, and I'm too old to get pregnant. So that dream for me always means birthing something new. It's the creation process, and I think that's really a powerful way to live our lives is through creation. You know.
Yes. Oh, I I love that. That's so beautiful, Rosemary. And I just want to speak to the part you're bringing forward of the symbology of what's birthing from the ground as seed. It's like,
Hmm.
and in our culture, we want to hold on pretty tight to our
Yeah.
creations, our visions, how we think, the whole
Yeah.
life spectrum of those creations and projects should go. And no, it is in our hands and it's not in our hands. And when you
Yeah.
are a true deep gardener, you understand the way that you can show up with such passion and plant those seeds with such intention and
Hmm.
prayer and vision of your garden. And then you really like just be with the elements through the seasons. And then you
Absolutely.
keep showing up to tend that, to tend what is growing well.
That's right. That's right. And I am a gardener, so I love all the garden motif things here because I always say it's like you plant seeds and you never know which ones are germinating and which ones need to lie in darkness longer. And then when they bloom, it's like a magical thing because you've put the work in, but there it is, and you're like, wow, look at the bloom of this thing. It's beautiful. And we don't know that sometimes because it's been in the dark. We don't know it's there, that it's been doing its thing and growing under the ground unseen. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love
And I'm
that.
right there with you because I'm such a sacred gardener. And you're bringing me even that, and it's a very felt somatic experience. I love walking around my yard in the
Oh, I do
spring, and I'll
too.
just walk around and I'm like, oh, what is that? That's never
Yeah.
grown there before. What is that gonna be? And it's
Yes.
such a feeling of both innocence, and I don't even actually think I have words for that feeling. It's just like, oh, what is
Yeah.
this?
It's almost like a childlike joy because I remember the first time when I was a child and I learned how to do organic gardening and I had a packet full of seeds and I threw the zinnia seeds down in a patch of dirt and I was so excited when I saw these flowers come up. I had no they were
Mm.
actually going to work. And after that, I'm like, I got to do a garden. So I convinced my mom to go out and get some things I needed. And I only had like maybe a 5 by 10 plot. We wound up coming back with 100 pounds of manure. My father was hysterical laughing. He says, "What are you doing? Would you go to the farm?" He was hysterical laughing
Mm.
because I had no idea what I needed for my garden. I just knew that you put manure down and then it helps your garden. The gardening bit me at 12, and I've been loving gardening
Mm.
ever since. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's part of the culture, part of my ancient culture of like growing those tomatoes and things. It
Yeah.
just brings you back.
So
Yeah.
special. So it grounds us so much. It grounds us
Yes.
so much.
Yes. Absolutely. So, how did you get started on your particular journey of this helping women? Like, what was it in your life that it just hit you? I have to do this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually never thought about it. So I was born the youngest of four girls, and that spoke to me in ways I couldn't even understand as a child. And so I was always very quiet. I was
Hmm.
always listening. I was always watching.
Uh-huh.
I certainly I could see things with my eyes, my human eyes, but I could feel things with
Oh
my
yeah.
soul and the things that weren't being said. And so there was just this incongruence and this inconsistency in what I saw my sisters and the women in my life presenting, and then what I could literally see happening inside of them. And
Yes.
so, though I didn't understand it then, and but
Uh-huh.
then I went off to school. I literally went to my undergraduate degrees in women's studies. So I literally
Hmm.
was so drawn to just study what is going on for the female body, and I paired that also with um, anthropology, my menopausal
Yeah.
brain. I was just like, what was that other degree
Yeah.
I did?
Yes.
So that I could also study and bring in the wisdom and really take it into to heart and consideration what was going on with women in other cultures, not just my own body and upbringing. And that was very, very powerful. And then on I went to serve women in all walks of life. At first, I was working with a lot of underserved women, women
Mm-hmm.
that were not well resourced,
Hmm.
doing that through various social service and human service agencies. And then eventually I began to build my own practice.
I love that. It's funny. I'm also the youngest. I'm also an
Mm-hmm.
empath. I was
Mm-hmm.
also extremely quiet. I was the observer. And like you, being empathic, it's like you could feel the energy. I could feel the difference of how people were and what they were saying. I could understand people innately, like where was their pain. And I was always like that. And it served me well now. I was a school teacher for many years and doing what I'm doing now in my business. It's always served me working with clients. But it's also hard if you don't know where that boundary is, or if you're not well grounded, or if you're very hypersensitive to emotion of other people. And those are things that I've worked really hard to try to set my boundary for myself because as we are fodder for those that would love to use our energy. So part
Yeah.
of women's a belief is understanding your value and your worth, which is what I know you do with other women in your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was a very sick little child, and so I didn't, of course, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening, and so I love you bringing this forward because it's taken a lifetime, and still, with everything that's been
Yeah.
going on in the world, just even last week, all kinds of symptoms resurfaced. And again,
Oh,
there was still that first part of me of like, oh, you did something
oh,
wrong. Oh, you're not
oh,
doing something right. And it was like,
yeah.
whoa, oh,
Yeah.
I know what this is.
It hits your stomach, doesn't it?
It hits everything for
Yeah.
me. It really does. And my
Yeah.
sleep also is one that will go. And so
Yes.
it does require, and this might be, but it just requires first that deep compassion of when we have a sensitivity. We all have sensitivities, they're just in
Yeah.
different ways. But when we have one such as this, where we're using our entire body and being to move
Oh,
through life and to
yes.
feel and
Yeah.
to integrate and metabolize and digest, we actually require that we go rest,
Yeah.
digest, and
Oh, yeah.
metabolize because
Yeah.
it's going to take us down. It's going to take us sideways.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I remember going through a really traumatic time in my 30s, when I went through a divorce and I was pregnant. And I just had my son. And one of the things that hit was I got Epstein-Barr right after because the
Mm,
body's vibration was so low. I was so wiped out emotionally from it that I felt ill and I had to still function and go to work and everything. And I remember that time of my life as a time of extreme pain and sadness, but extreme joy as well,
mm,
because I got to
mm.
learn like, oh, this is me. This is who I am. This is my child. This is my choice now. And it's amazing what brings us to that knowledge at different points in our life that we have to do regardless. And then again, the destroyer, the catalyst, and it's necessary. It's not easy,
Yes.
but it's necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well
Yeah.
said. You can tell you've lived that well. Yeah.
I don't know how well, but I'm still standing. That's all I can say.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that
Right.
partnership of pain and suffering, also with joy and beauty, like
Yes. Opposite
again, they're
ends.
they are like this.
Yeah.
Grief and love, they're like this. And
Yes. Two
when we
polarities.
understand that, we don't then polarize. One, we don't
Yes.
polarize out in the world, but we don't polarize in ourselves as well.
Yes. I also think that the deep capacity that one has for pain is also the deep capacity of love. So, like, I think you have to have both. If you're a deeply feeling person, then you can't live a life without your emotions. You can't live a life without that deep compassion and love because it's part of what you bring to your emotions and what you bring to other
Mm,
people. So for me, it's been a gift. I don't say, oh, I feel so much, so I have to like, hide myself from the world. No, I need
mhm,
to recharge, but I also know that it's a gift to have.
mhm,
It's a gift to be able to share that. So that's all good.
mhm. Aw,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Okay. All right. Okay. What do you personally do for your self-care?
Yeah. So I find this is it's ever evolving and it's also gets more and more essential. So there's things
Mm,
that are changing as I get older, as I have a different relationship with my life and my energy, and then there's things that just deepen. And so
yes.
I was even sharing just with a friend this morning, just because of everything that happened last week, and I got kind of derailed. It's like,
Yeah.
I now safeguard 2 hours every morning And
Oh,
so
good
for
for
me,
you.
that's huge. Like I have kids.
Yeah.
When like I'm a mama. I
Oh,
used to use that morning time, but not at this level I'm doing it now. And so during that time, it's really important for me, one, to be quite quiet and to be
uh-huh.
very still. And that doesn't mean I'm not moving, because I do practices where I greet the earth with my body. So often barefoot on the earth, or simply like
Mhm.
really looking at my environment, the trees, the ground, the sky, and just being with it as a
Mhm.
first point in my day. And then I do things like Qigong or gentle
Oh, yeah.
stretches. I do some journaling every morning and some
Mhm.
reflections. I do prayer. I do meditation. And so I'm doing the whole gamut, and I'm moving through that way more thoughtfully. And it's not for me a checklist. It's each day it's like, okay, which of these is
Mhm.
essential today? I have a whole toolkit, and they're all at my fingertips, but I don't do all of them, and I don't force myself, and I don't show
Yeah.
up rigid. It's
Uh-huh.
just I know
Like in the
without
flow.
this,
Mhm.
exactly, and without this I will derail. I will
Yeah.
absolutely derail. And then
That
I
is your
take
next book, Sharon. That is your next book. That's what I'm getting for you. It's like this loving self-care and what you've learned as part of your next book.
it's
Hmm.
so vital. It's so vital. And then, and I pause a lot during the day just to take a pause. I was just
Hmm.
listening to, I don't know if it was your previous podcast, but you were sharing about intuition, and
Hmm.
we're talking about numerology and numbers. So often I
Yes, yes,
pause, when I see
yes.
the 1111, or
11,
I see
11.
the
Yeah,
333. I just take a
yeah,
pause and I breathe. And then in the
beautiful.
evening, I have a whole closing of the day ritual that I'll often again
Okay.
do some gentle movement. I do reflections, write about my day, let go, and
That's great.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
it's I say I'm a kind of high management, like
No, but it's good. We find what we need, and I think, you like you find your body and your needs change as we reach, I call them our goddess years, where we're ageless because we have to care for ourselves in a different way. So one of the things that that I do is I start my morning just with a quick intention. So or if it's a nice day, I'll walk. Today I shoveled snow, so that one wasn't. But again, I'm shoveling it mindfully, like trying to think how blessed I am that I can do that and that it doesn't hurt me. But and I end my day with a blessing or a prayer. And then during the day, I love what I do. I love podcasting and I love writing and I love meeting with clients. So I have other ways that feed me through my business. But for me personally, I love to cook too. So I did a lot of cooking yesterday. Made my stuffed artichokes and my soup and my pork.
ooh.
I'm not a vegetarian, but I'm a meatitarian sometimes, but love to cook. So
Mm.
other ways that nourish your body with good foods that also feeds your brain, feeds your body, and feeds your mood. So
Yeah. And I love what you're bringing forward, and it's that like living ritual. It's like our whole lives can
yeah,
become a living prayer, a
yeah,
living ritual. It's
yeah.
just us bringing to it that intention, that care, that
Mhm.
thoughtfulness, and the delight of like, oh my God, I love cooking. My thing is baking, and I love
Oh,
baking like
okay.
alternative desserts. So it's not using like
Oh,
traditional sugar,
love.
dairy, and other
Yes, I do
things. And
that.
I love them so much. It's so
Yes.
fun.
Yes. It's funny because we had this joke, like my son will say, Mom, this is delicious, but it'll never be the same again. Because he always knows that next time I'll make it, I either, would do it off the cuff or I'd add something different. You go, this is good today, but you're never going to make this again.
I love
True.
that.
Oh my goodness.
Sweet,
So
sweet boy.
what age are your children right now?
My children right now, so I have three boys. The eldest is 27. The middle
Okay.
son is going to be 22. He's a leap year baby.
Oh,
And
okay.
so officially he's like
Yeah.
turns 22, but he also doesn't.
Yes.
And my youngest is 14.
Love that. Yeah, I have one son and two grandchildren. So yeah, and that's it's a beautiful blessing. I always thought that he was the greatest gift to my heart because every time that man calls me, he'll go, "Mom, I love you," and it's like it just touches my heart. And his kids are very dear to me. So yeah, it's
And
been
how old is your son?
38.
Oh, love that. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
maybe.
oh, so much to
He's,
look forward
yeah,
to.
he's
Mhm.
terrific, and I love his wife too. So they're very good people, and they know they're doing a great job with their kids, and yeah, it's been a blessing to me.
Mm. Mm.
Okay.
I bet he's so proud of you. Uh,
I don't know. I hope so. Oh man. Okay. What state are you in? I know you're in Oregon,
so
are
I'm
you?
in Oregon, yes, in
Okay.
Portland.
Portland. Okay. All right. Let me see what else I was going to ask you here. You've worked in doing reaching many different audiences. Tell me some of the things that you have done through your business that enables you to get out there so that people know who you are. So I know you're doing some podcasting here and there with other people as guesting. Have you done anything else that you want to tell about? I think you mentioned retreats to me. So tell me
Hmm.
about some of the things that you or have done.
Yeah, so with all that I've done, and this is really coming full circle for me, so it's very much in my awareness. I was always building relationships with women. So
Hmm.
sisterhood to me is absolutely everything.
Hmm.
And so that is real. That
Hmm.
goes beyond whether or not my computer's working on any given day, whether I have followers or I don't, whether my book
Hmm.
sells or not. Like these
Hmm.
relationships are living and they're real and they're of the earth. They're of like such
Hmm.
deep heart-centered connection. So it's through those relationships where I get the pulse of where
Hmm.
to go, how to go, and so that's really what began my, like my very first book tour, for example, or when I first started traveling across the U.S. to do women's
Hmm.
retreats. It was because of us, one of my long time first apprenticeship clients, and she had moved to the other side of the country, and then she said, could you come out and do an event for women here? I was like, oh
I
my
love
goodness,
that.
that's
Yeah.
fabulous. And
Yes.
then a few years ago met a gorgeous woman, who is she's based in Italy, but she has her family
Mhm.
villa in Croatia. And so again, it was like, oh, would you come and
Mhm.
facilitate and be part of the
That's exciting.
national team of facilitators? And it was like, well, yes, I would love to do
Mhm.
that. And so even through that, now I'm like, oh, if I'm going to do a book tour, I would check in with the women in my community. I would talk with the women, for example, from this retreat who are based all over the world. And I turn
Mhm.
to my clients. I've had
Mhm.
clients from all walks of life and across the globe. And that also is where I then
Yeah,
turn to say, oh, maybe I might come and
that's
see and
wonderful.
check the pulse of that. So that's how
Yeah,
I move through my work and what I'm
yeah,
going to do next and where.
yeah. You're following the flow.
Yes.
Love that. It's beautiful. Okay. Um, is there any sticking point in your life where you have overcome something through what you do now? That, like there's certain things, like for me, I was a very quiet person, like you had said too. And I had to get over the feeling that I couldn't use my voice to say who I
Mm,
was. And that was something I learned like in my 30s, and I still continue to learn throughout life. Is there something for you that transformed through the work that you do?
oh, it's so beautiful. So as you were speaking, what came forward is, a lot of people don't know this unless they know me deeply, is I've carried so much shame. And that shame was I would turn everything in on myself. And
Oh,
so if something happened, I thought it was my fault. If
oh,
something didn't go well, it's because I didn't show up well enough. I wasn't good
yeah.
enough.
Oh.
If, in my book, again, I had a lot happening in my life the first time I published it, and I really broke down. And I was like, oh, look, I'm not meant to put my work out into the world. And everything suddenly became,
Oh,
on one level
yeah.
about me, which wasn't healthy, but it was also that really deep discomfort with just accepting life is life, things
Yeah.
happen, and there were a lot of hardships. I was a woman who comes from, Polish immigrant family, really like there's deep ancestral
Mhm.
things. There's so many things.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I didn't know how to walk with that with a level of understanding, one of my own self-worth, And then
Mhm.
two, of being like, whoa, there is injustice in this world. And I too have experienced that. So
Yeah.
I've had to really overcome that. And it still shows up. I still can feel, anxiety, or again, being such a quiet, introverted child who was
Hmm.
much more comfortable supporting others, asking
Yeah.
others how they are, knowing how to show up and
Yeah.
care for others,
Okay,
knowing
that's, yeah,
more of like what's going on
that's
inside
me.
of them than
Oh,
what's going
yeah.
on inside of me. And so I've
Yeah.
had to really work at that. And it's just been tender and
Yeah.
slow and thoughtful and sometimes very uncomfortable
Oh,
and
yes.
liberating. It's
Yeah.
very liberating at the same
It
time.
sure is. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, because we all have something. And I think that's why we're born here. We all have something. There's something to overcome, something to shift, something to change, and every human has something. And it's just understanding that we all do have something and we all have to do what we can do, do our best to heal it or change it or shift it with our life. So
Yeah.
that's a beautiful share. Okay. Is there any last words of anything you want to bring out or tell? I know you were going to say your book again is, tell me the name of it again.
Faces of the Mother.
Faces of the Mother, and you do have that on Amazon, correct?
It's on Amazon. It's in Barnes and Noble. It's at the
Oh,
various
yes.
online like
Beautiful.
Waterstones in the UK,
Okay.
and then it's not quite there, but it's also on my website. You can buy it direct. It's through Ingram Spark, the
Perfect. I hope
publisher.
people look you up for the beautiful work that you do, and I do thank you for
Thank you.
your beautiful sacred gift of time and what you do. And yay us, right? Yay women. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Yes. Thank you for this connection, and
Yes, you're welcome.
yeah, and your tender-hearted questions and share.
Thank you. Thank you. And this has been the Lightwalker's Path. If you'd like to learn more about Sharon, I'll have her information on YouTube under the description. And you can also reach me at rosemaryd.com for workshop sessions, keynote speaking, and books. So we hope to hear from everyone soon. Please comment, share, and like.
Bye.
Thank you.